If you're a fan of old school bodybuilding, then make sure to check out Sups the Movie. Filmmaker Alex Ardenti explores the $40 billion sports supplement industry, delving into the origins, evolution, and current state of supplements used by millions of fitness enthusiasts worldwide, available at Amazon and Vimeo. Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookham here. It is difficult to say who from all the great gripping champions of the past was the champion of gripping power. However, many would argue that Charles Vansittart was definitely one of the world's foremost specialists and most famous for his fabulous performances which captured the world's strength imagination in the past and which many today still remain unduplicated. So today we are going to look at the incredible feats of gripping strength of Charles Vansittart and look at the different methods he used to develop his gripping strength, and I will also go through some of the exercises we as practitioners today can do to improve our gripping strength. Charles Vansittart was born in London in 1869 and was fairly well financially fixed. His fondness for strength display lured him into strongman performances, and he became a professional known as Vansittart, the man with the iron grip. Standing at 6'3", he was tall, broad-shouldered, but slender in appearance, and in street attire did not appear to be that of a strongman, not until he would remove his coat, at which he would reveal his muscular and sinewy physique. It was this transition of an apparently normal human being into this man possessing amazing of power and ability in his hands that gained him great popularity. It is said that Vansittart began his career as a strongman in such a manner as Sandow, walking up on stage of an old saloon in an old gold mining town to challenge a strongman. He appeared, coughing, to give the insinuation that he was old and weak, and then without effort and to the amazement of the bearded strongman, copied the strongman's act, took off his coat and flexed his bicep, at which the strongman packed his things and left the stage with the crowd in a roar. After performing at several towns around Goldfields, he quickly became a noted strongman figure and eventually returned to England, where he became attached to Professor Attila and Attila's School of Physical Culture in Bloomsbury, where he became acquainted with Milo. From the start, these two men drew very closely together and birthed the famous and sensational Vansittart act. In one of his first performances in one of London's theatres, where the famous illusionist Harry Houdini was exhibiting and wowing the crowds, the chief of police had heard about how easily Vansittart could snap ordinary handcuffs as if they were made of straw, and decided to create a special pair which were said to be unbreakable. Unknowingly, Vansittart was none the wiser and was stumped by these unbreakable handcuffs. However, after an extremely hard struggle in which Vansittart twisted, turned and wrenched the cuffs in every conceivable way in order to bring into play the immense power of his hands, he finally mastered the steel and freed himself, but of course with great cost, as he suffered great pain and lacerated his arms and hands in doing so. One of the few photos that still survive to this day display his 17 3/4 inch arm, and it is easy to be impressed by his amazing musculature and understand why he was also called the living anatomical chart. Another photo that survives to this day is the famous 7-inch long iron spike which Vansittart bent into the shape of a horseshoe. The iron spike was 7/16 of an inch thick and was bent along the diagonal of the spike up until the two ends nearly meet. This feat to this day stands as one of the greatest bending feats of strength in human history, a true testament to the evidence of enormous hand, arm and shoulder power of Vansittart, and is still talked about to this day in grip strength forums. One of his more famous stunts was to rip tennis balls apart, which requires the ability to dig one's fingers deep into the ball sufficiently to get some kind of a grip on it, then retaining that grip and crushing and twisting strength to rip the ball apart. On occasion, he would apply so much pressure on the tennis ball that it would actually burst. Another feat he performed, although not a display of gripping power, more of a display of the brute force he could apply, was exploding champagne bottles. He would place a champagne bottle in the bend of his arm, first wrapping a protective padding around the bottle to protect his skin, of course. Then by flexion of the elbow and the contraction of the biceps muscle, the bottle was smashed in the most spectacular manner. As an extra precaution and attesting to the danger of the feat, it was said that a mask was fitted over his face to protect him of the flying projectiles and fragments of glass. Now, one of the ways that Vansittart trained and showed the true value of his great power of grip and muscular control of every finger was his feat of walking 2 bottles up and down his hands. He would hold a large wine bottle in each hand by the necks, and using his finger strength alone and powerful finger manipulation, he would work the bottles upward until his fingers reached the bottom of the bottles. Another method Vansittart used and feat that he could perform was to hold a 100-pound block, holding it with his thumb and finger alone. And to demonstrate his ability in this grip feat, he would pass it over the face of volunteers, and as a challenge to the audience, would then lie it on the floor with a 25 bill under it, sometimes $100 under it, which would be awarded to anyone in the audience that could lift the block in the manner that he would. Therefore, grip training with odd blocks of varying weights would be ideal to train and become adept at such gripping feats, and feats that exhibit the ability to manipulate objects through finger strength alone. As mentioned before, Vansittart had an incredible ability to bend and crush iron spikes and rods, and during his performances would often stand near a table with 3/8-inch diameter short metal rods and ask for any initial to be called out by the audience, at which he, using purely hand strength and no leverage of arms against the body, he would twist the rods and bend them into the requested initials. Iron horseshoe training and chest crusher training trains the kind of twisting and crushing power needed in the hands, as well as actual bending of rods. Vansittart was of course also adept at tearing packs of cards, and would not tear 1 or 2 decks at a time, but 3 decks at a time. Horseshoe bending was also a specialty, and Vansittart would bend them with such ease that people would think that they were made of soft metal. Vansittart's finger strength was so great that he could easily break an English shilling with his fingers and tear, that's right, tear a 6-penny piece in 2. That's right, he wouldn't bend it, he would tear it. Another great feat of strength was his ability to grip the tip of billiard cues between each finger, and with one crush of his hand, he could hold out the cues at arm's length. So great was the squeeze between his fingers. Worse still, he would then bind them together with one of the tips sticking out, which he would hold between his first and second fingers, and using pure finger strength, would press the first finger down onto the second, which would act as a fulcrum, and in doing so, he would lift the bunch of cues off the ground until in a horizontal position, which would be held for several seconds. Vansittart's ability to think up such incredible and spectacular acts was another reason why he was so famed. Another fantastic feat was that he would take 8 clay pipes, 4 in each hand, with the bowls of the pipes against his palms and the stems sticking out between his fingers, lifting his hands to the audience, palms to the front, to show the spectators how he was holding the pipes. He would bring his arms down sideways, and suddenly you would hear a crunch. All 8 pipes were broken, not just broken at the stems, but all bowls smashed to smithereens. Now, if this video hasn't inspired you to enter a grip development program, I'm not sure what will. Vansittart's grip and finger strength may have to do with the incredible contractile force he developed, of course, and not necessarily the size of his forearm, which was 14 inches, or his wrist, which was only 7¼ inches. Robert Baraban's website offers a great range of gripping products for those gripping aficionados, and I personally like incorporating crushing and tearing actions into my own workouts using the chest crusher and iron horseshoe trainer. Robert has actually come out with a second horseshoe, more small and compact in size, which emulates the opening of a horseshoe more accurately and is ideal for those training specifically to open horseshoes, which I myself am trying to attempt. Of course, his larger horseshoe is also available, and as I have already reviewed it before in a previous video, I believe this and his chest crusher apparatuses, as well as his gripping apparatuses, are overall the best, and I mean the absolute best that money can buy. I've said it before and I will say it again, his stuff was built for Hercules himself, because you truly need to have the strength of a Hercules to be able to use his equipment. So if you want to develop the kind of grip strength that Charles Vansittart and other kings of grip strength developed, please head to shop.handgripper.net and check out his fantastic range of products. Now, if you've enjoyed watching the video, please give the video a like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and click the bell button to be notified of future videos. And please, of course, leave me your comments. As a final story of the great Charles Vansittart, let me share this one, which should leave you smiling. It is said that once during a Strongman show, Eugene Sandow sent out to the audience the halves of the 2 packs of cards he had torn during his act. On returning to his dressing room, a small package was delivered addressed to Sandow. Upon opening the package, he found one of the halves of his double pack of cards torn into a half again. Sandow called for a pen, smiled and wrote, "Bravo, Vansittart," as he knew that the only man in the world that could actually do that was, of course, Charles Vansittart, the king of the iron grip. That's it from me. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Vince Gironda's approach to bodybuilding, his principles, and all these tips of wisdom that he has, I mean, there's so much stuff that probably hasn't been proven by science, and it will take science to prove or disprove Vince. But to be honest, these 3 books, I believe, which I call the Classic Physique Bundle, are the best books that Vince ever came out with. And they, of course, are the Wild Physique, the Master Series, and the Pro Series. Have a look at it this way. The Wild Physique, I believe, is like the ABCs of Vince Gironda's principles to bodybuilding. He teaches you the exercises and his principles. But how do you put them together? Well, the Master Series is a 14-month program of using all of these principles, all of the diets that Vince came out with, all of the exercises. And believe me, it's a brilliant, brilliant program. Many people have used it. I know personally a lot of bodybuilders that have actually used it and made fantastic results with it. And of course, the Pro Series was a book that he came out with later on, specially targeted for getting into competition. It's just these 3 books, as I call it, the Classic Physique Bundle, Vince's best work, and available, of course, at www.goldenerabookworm.com. Now, the Pro Series of Bodybuilding, which was targeted for professional bodybuilders, contains 6 programs, each of which go for 2 months each. So it's a whole year, again, in preparation for competition. Online training is now available, including my new program, Novice to Classic, a program geared towards beginners and novices looking at developing a classic physique, as well as Classic Cut, geared at those who wish to lose weight and gain muscle fast. Details available at www.goldenerabookworm.com. Need a bodybuilding poster for your gym or office? Then check out Iron Man Magazine archive.smugmug.com for the highest quality posters on the planet. Scroll through the galleries of all the legends, including greats such as Arnold, Frank Zane, Sergio Oliva, Serge Nubret, Tom Platz, and Larry Scott, and much, much more, and select your poster now. Your favorite YouTube channel, please visit teespring.com/stores/Golden Era Bookworm for merchandise, including t-shirts, hoodies, face masks, phone cases, and much, much more. Once again, at teespring.com/stores/Golden Era Bookworm. Become a patron at www.patreon.com/Golden Era Bookworm for hard to find books, scans of rare photos, and articles on the golden era of bodybuilding. To take full advantage of my collaborations, use code GEB20 with NSPNutrition.com and VinceGironda.com, as well as code Bookworm12 at OSL.com for a discount at checkout.
I don't think that Bill Phillips looked at it as, I want to compete against them. I want to destroy them.
If they pass legislation basically making any type of food supplement a prescription item, that would be the end, the death of the entire food supplement industry.
Take your vitamin pill now.
In the 1960s, the sports supplement industry was barely emerging.
I think the reason why Joe Weider was so successful was he had Arnold on his side.
He wasn't selling supplements. He was in the dream business.
Joe Weider was a marketing genius.
People would say the promotions or the endorsements back then were cheesy. To me, it wasn't. I loved it.
Fitness was taking off. You know, fitness became cool. You had a lot of readers that wanted to be like the stars that they idolized.
Bill's strength is his marketing savvy. He's a marketing genius.
Got it. It's only vitamin.
The right of American citizens to have free access to dietary supplements of their choice.
Consult your physician. You might as well consult the next guy you meet on the street. They don't know a damn thing about vitamins and nutrition.
The dietary supplement industry became the #2 most regulated industry. Nuclear, dietary supplements, pharmaceutical. We are more regulated than drugs.
They come in and you need to allow the FDA. They have jurisdiction.
The enforcement is kind of the questionable side of it, and how do they really get a handle on this monster?
A lot of people tell me that the dietary supplement industry is completely unregulated. It's the wild, wild west out there. It's a free-for-all. That could not be further from the truth.
A dietary supplement is not allowed to have a side effect. I always say the pharmaceutical has to have a minimum of 100 side effects in order for it to be a drug.
And now, it's a $40 billion industry and growing.
That's the really interesting thing, is the cast of characters from the 80s, when it was kind of iffy, to now when it's a lot more legitimate.
They made it sound cutting edge, revolutionary, and different, and I want that. That's cool.
We are in this industry to improve our health. It's not just a vanity project here. We're working on our lifeline. We eat a certain way to improve our health. We train a certain way to improve our health. Supplements are just that. They supplement your work, your graft, your nutrition.
They demonize dietary supplements, but they say all you need is real food. Well, what's a real food?
They pump you up and get you hard, stronger, faster, bigger.
Doc, I want to take this weight gain. I want to take this pre-workout. No way. That stuff, we don't know what's in that. It could be, no way. I'm not going to give you, it's going to kill the industry, bottom line.
So I must have drank so much protein powder from age 15 to 18 that my head was going to explode.
I believed in metrics so much that I would probably punch somebody in the face if they tried to take it away from me.